On today's episode of Time About the Movies, we've got 6 films to take a look at, a couple of awards contenders, including Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal starring in the thriller Prisoners. We also have a movie that I swear looks like a film from 6 years prior, but nope, it was released in 2013, Battle of the Year in 3D. Trust me, that's better than what you're going to see from this movie here. We do have a re-release of a classic movie in 3D, The Wizard of Oz, and a couple of indie films, too. We have Thanks for Sharing, starring Mark Ruffalo and Gwyneth Paltrow, along with Josh Gad and Pink, also in this as well. And James Gandolfini and Julia Louis-Dreyfus starring in the romantic comedy Enough Said. And also Chris Hemsworth starring in Ron Howard's latest film, Rush. So a lot of films to take a look at today. So this is September 20th, 2013, and this is, of course, Time About the Movies.
For more than a week.
I couldn't find them!
But half as good a chance of being found.
I'm gonna find your daughters. Show me your hands!
We're running out of time.
Where'd you put those girls? Every day she's wondering why I'm not there. Me, not you. Not you, but me!
Prisoners, rated R, starts Friday.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 6 films that make up September 20th, 2013. And we begin with our first movie here, Denis Villeneuve's latest film, and that is Prisoners. And in this movie, you follow the abduction of 2 young girls in Pennsylvania and the subsequent search for the perpetrator by the police. And after police arrest a young suspect, played by Paul Dano, and release him, the father of one of the daughters, played by Hugh Jackman, takes matters into his own hands. Basically goes death wish trying to find the guy. You also have a cast that includes Jake Gyllenhaal as the cop, Viola Davis, Maria Bello, Terrence Howard, Melissa Leo, and as I mentioned, Paul Dano. And this is a really good movie. This is Denis Villeneuve's real big breakout movie in general, the one that really got people to realize that this guy clearly has a bright future ahead of him as a filmmaker, because this film went on to become a critical and a commercial success overall, and it led to him getting a number of other different movies like Sicario, Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, the Dune films, and more recently, the James Bond movie that he's going to be directing for Amazon MGM. And it kind of started with this movie in general. This was my introduction to Denis Villeneuve, like most people's was, and it's a really engaging movie in general. It's a movie that's kind of been done to death before several times, about somebody who's willing to do whatever it takes to find out what happened to someone that they love. And yeah, Hugh Jackman overall really is fantastic in this movie. Although, I will admit, even when he's great in this, there are times when I can't help but laugh at some of the heavier scenes in the movie. Like, one scene in particular that really gets to me sometimes is just the sink scene, where it's him and Terrence Howard. They've got Paul Dano right where they want him, and he's got this hammer, and he's trying to intimidate him, and he's just beating the sink into submission, and screaming out, "Tell me the truth! Tell me the truth!" Like, it's a serious scene. It's a greatly acted scene, but I'm sorry. For some reason, I don't know if it's just because I'm a sick person or not, but I laugh my ass off sometimes at some of the acting in this. Just look for yourself.
Tell me! Tell me! Tell me! Tell me! Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?
I mean, I can't help it, man. I feel like everyone was just trying to, hold it together, take this as seriously as they can, without bursting out laughing. I'm sorry, that's just how I felt when I watched that scene. I may be the one person on this planet that thinks that, and it makes me look like a total asshole, probably, because of how much I like the movie in general, and I do like his performance in this, but I don't know, for some reason, that serious scene just makes me laugh so hard every time I see it. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm a sick person. Maybe it's because I'm a sick, twisted fuck. I don't know, but yeah, I found myself laughing at that more than I should have been more taken by the serious performance by Hugh Jackman in that. I mean, besides that, Hugh Jackman overall is fantastic in this movie, and probably should have gotten an Academy Award nomination for this, but nope, only got 1 Oscar nomination, and that was for cinematography, which is great. Roger Deakins is a fantastic cinematographer, and he did a good job with this, but this is one of those movies that probably should have gotten a lot more award nominations than just the one. And it was a big hit. It was both a critical and financial success. And it just felt like the Academy Awards forgot about this movie, even though it came out in September. Like, it makes no sense. But it's a fantastic movie. It's an engaging thriller. It's a really good film that really shows off strong performances by all the people in the cast in here. What more can I say, man? Prisoners is a great movie, regardless of how I feel about how some over-the-top scenes in this movie do kind of stick out more than others, but it's fun. It's not even fun. It's a really good movie. I think anything that happens within this movie is fun in general, but it's a really good movie overall. I think it's a very solid film. Prisoners, definitely worth a watch. So, let's go ahead and actually laugh at something that you really don't think is really serious, but no, some jackass decided, hey, you know what we think still might be popular, even though we haven't even looked into the research yet? Dance flicks, but not just dance flicks, 3D dance flicks. So let's go ahead and put out this movie here, and surely the numbers will come in. Battle of the Year in 3D.
Battle of the year. It's like the Olympics to dancing.
Sometimes gotta close my eyes just to open my soul. And tonight is the night I got a feeling that I'm about to act a fool.
An American crew hasn't won in 15 years. The only way we can win is as a team. Battle of the year, rated PG-13.
Yeah, spoiler alert. This was not a big hit at all. In fact, it actually lost money for Sony, and even though it only cost $20 million, it only bought in $16 million. Has a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes, and was incredibly thrashed by critics in general here. But stop me if you've heard this plot before, because it's just such an incredible plot idea. I can't believe nobody thought about this, but Dante Graham, played by Laz Alonso, enlists Jason Blake, played by Josh Holloway, to coach the United States B-Boy team to compete in the Battle of the Year, as the U.S. has not won in 15 years. Blake puts together the best B-Boys across America, a la Dream Team. After overcoming their differences and learning to work as a team, the Dream Team makes it to the semifinals, beats the reigning champ French team, and finds themselves among the favorites, the Koreans. Ultimately, they lose by 1 point. Blake resolves to resume training as soon as possible to win next year. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the story. That's the entire fucking movie, because you've seen this story done before so many times, and the only difference is that they have bigger names in here. They've got Josh Holloway from Lost, Chris Brown is one of the guys in here, you see Josh Peck, Laz Alonso, and also the chick from Arrow, not Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, the White Canary from the CW. I'm trying to remember which show she's on. I think it's Legends of Tomorrow, right? Well, she started on Arrow, so that, yeah, it's basically started with Arrow, but you get the idea. Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, The Flash, you name it. Like, those are your big names in a movie like this that just makes no sense whatsoever. It's a story that has been done to death before so many times. The dialogue is terrible. The direction is bad. The dancing isn't even that damn good. I mean, like I said, this is a movie that was clearly 6 years out of when these movies were the norm. I mean, nobody gave a shit about this in 2013. And sure enough, the box office says, yeah, nobody gave a shit about this in 2013. This is a CW movie blown up for the big pilot, blown up for the big screen, and sold as a movie, and nobody was buying into it. It came, it went. What more do I gotta say about it, man? It's a piece of garbage overall, plain and simple. So let's go ahead and go see another 3D movie that's much better, and certainly is a lot better, and would be much more enjoyable than anything out of Battle of the Year, the re-release of The Wizard of Oz. By the way, everybody say hi to the new MPAA trailer card. Yay! Yeah, after, God, almost 40, nearly 30 years, they changed this in 2013, and of course later on down the road they'll change it again, but I don't know. I was never a fan of these trailer cards. I like the old school ones personally, but anyway, on to the trailer.
And who might you be?
If you please, I am Dorothy. in Kansas anymore.
So this is The Wizard of Oz coming out for the first time in IMAX 3D to essentially celebrate the 75th anniversary of the movie, which would take place in 2014, because it came out in 1939. But I don't think I need to tell you what the story of The Wizard of Oz is in general here. But, I mean, I've also kind of touched on The Wizard of Oz before, because I covered the 1998 re-release, which came out in, 1998, obviously. But this one in particular is coming out just after Oz the Great and Powerful came out. Wicked was kind of the big thing around that time as well, the Broadway show. And, it's coming out in IMAX 3D. And this was still around that time when studios were putting out these movies in 3D, re-releasing them in 3D because of what Disney was doing. Even though that had been kind of dying down at this point. But, I mean, honestly, there's not really much more to say about The Wizard of Oz that has been said already. It's a classic movie. It's a well-put-together family film. And it probably would have been cool to see this on IMAX 3D, honestly. I feel like this movie could have looked amazing on the biggest screen possible. And I know that right now in Las Vegas, you can go check out the one at the Sphere, which I've always heard is terrible. It's poorly put together. But apparently it's a big enough success that they're doing other movies there at Warner Brothers is, including Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, another timeless family classic, which, yeah, surely that's going to look amazing in the Sphere. Not, but... yeah, not much more to say about this one in particular, except the fact that it probably would have been cool to see this in IMAX 3D. I think this could have looked amazing on the biggest screen possible, seeing what they did to it. Yeah, I really wish I could have gotten a chance to see it, honestly, but we really don't have an IMAX 3D theater around here, except for one area, all the way down in downtown Pittsburgh at the Carnegie Science Center. Oh, I'm sorry, they, of course, changed the name recently to... a name that's so heavy that I can't even remember what the hell it's now called now. The Kamen Center, but it's not called the Kamen Center. No, it's called the David. Now I can't remember it now. The Daniel G. and Carol L. Kamen Science Center, or just call it the Kamen Science Center, or just call it the Carnegie Science Center. I mean, we still call Acrisure Stadium Heinz Field. I mean, it's not really that much of a difference overall when you think about it, but yeah, that's the only closest big IMAX 3D theater that we have around here, so that's why I didn't get out to go see this at this point. But what more can you say, man? The Wizard of Oz, classic movie, probably would have looked amazing in IMAX 3D, so with that said, let's go ahead and get to some indie movies, because there was actually some pretty good ones that you might not be too familiar with, especially with our first film here. Thanks for sharing.
One day at a time.
You're the one who told me I couldn't take the subway anymore. So now I'm out there, biking for my life like no postino.
Are they taking the TV out of your room? What are you, Amish?
Yes, and I was hoping to escort you to a barn raising upon my return.
So for all you people out there that love to merge people together for fan fiction, here you go. You got the Hulk banging Pepper Potts, and also Olaf banging Gloria from Happy Feet 2. Not Brittany Murphy, but Pink, because she was in that movie replacing the late Brittany Murphy. But yeah, here's that movie for you right here. And it's literally kind of like that in general, where this is a romantic comedy that brings together disparate characters: Mark Ruffalo, Gwyneth Paltrow, Josh Gad, Alicia Moore, aka Pink, Tim Robbins, and Jolie Richardson, who are learning to face a challenging and often confusing world as they struggle together against the common demon, sex addiction. Now, this is very similar to a movie that I really enjoy with 2008's Choke, which I think is a very good film, which features Sam Rockwell and also Gillian Jacobs in it, with the biggest exception to that being that this is a much more serious comedy, while Choke is written more as kind of a darker comedy overall. But nevertheless, I still think this movie was really good. I was actually really impressed by what I saw here. This is written and directed by Stuart Blumberg, who the last movie that he wrote was The Kids Are Alright, and so he gets a chance to direct a film here, and it's a really good film. You do get a lot of good moments from the main cast. Everybody works off each other very well. You do buy into the relationships between all these characters. Probably the more exciting one was Josh Gad and Alicia Moore, really working off each other very well. You wouldn't expect these two to really come together with their chemistry overall, but it really does feel like that they are a legitimately good couple in this. The dialogue overall is really well written, and this is definitely a movie that is well worth a watch, and one you should definitely look out and find, because it is definitely worth it, indeed. If you want a good old-fashioned romantic comedy with a modern twist to it, this is one I definitely recommend checking out. It didn't make as much money as maybe they were expecting it to do, nor really wasn't a big hit critically either. It was kind of got an overall mixed reception from most people, but I think it does a really good job delivering on what it promises here. You know, Stuart Blumberg, I think, did a very good job directing this. The cast overall is very good. It's one I highly recommend checking out. If you haven't been able to find it, seek out Thanks for Sharing, because it definitely is worth it. So let's go ahead and move on to probably one of my favorite underrated movies that came out around this time. Speaking of movies with fan fiction relationships coming together, for those of you who wanted to see Elaine Bennis and Tony Soprano getting together in a movie, here you go. Enough said. No, really, that's the name of the movie. Enough said.
Diane, please pick up the phone.
Albert, hi. Remember that new client of mine? Well, it turns out she is Albert's ex-wife. Stop saying her, please. I don't have anybody I can bitch to.
You can completely bitch to me.
He was very clumsy in bed.
Oh, my hair, my hair.
Okay.
Oh, he'd go on so many diets, and then he would cheat. And he has no friends.
I have lost all perspective. I've been listening to this woman say the worst things about the guy that I'm starting to really like. She's like a human trip advisor.
Albert is not a hotel.
If you could avoid staying at a bad one, wouldn't you?
Oh, my God.
Beautiful, she's telling me.
You know how many calories are in guacamole? I'm gonna get you a calorie book. You're picking on him.
No, I'm not.
You are. That was embarrassing. Calorie book.
I'm obviously gonna buy you a calorie book.
Why do I feel like I just spent the evening with my ex-wife?
Oh, I screwed up big time.
I really love this movie. I really enjoyed it from the moment it came out. And really, I think it was mostly because, you know, around this time, James Gandolfini had just passed away. This was actually one of two really solid films from Fox Searchlight that came out with him involved in it. We'll get to the other one in 2014, but in this movie, Enough Said, you have a story about a divorced and single parent played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus who spends her days enjoying work as a masseuse, but dreading her daughter's impending departure for college. She meets Albert, played by James Gandolfini, a sweet, funny, and like-minded man, also facing an empty nest as their romance quickly blossoms. Ava befriends Marianne, played by Catherine Keener, her new massage client, who is a beautiful poet who seems almost perfect except for one prominent quality. She rags on about her ex-husband way too much. Suddenly, Ava finds herself doubting that her own relationship with Albert as she learns the truth about Marianne's ex. Which, if you can't figure it out by now, Catherine Keener was basically married to James Gandolfini. I mean, the trailer pretty much shows you that, but what really does make this work overall is the chemistry between Julia Louis-Dreyfus and James Gandolfini. These two just work off each other so well. You do buy right from the get-go that these two would really like each other and want to be in a relationship together. Their chemistry is just too pitch perfect. And it really is a showcase piece for Gandolfini, who everyone just kind of assumes is, you know, his whole career was Tony Soprano, but it was never like that. I mean, it's a guy that did movies all the way back 10 years before he was even became famous with Tony Soprano. I mean, this guy was in Pretty Woman, for God's sakes, and here's a chance to see a side of him that we're not used to seeing from him, as we're mostly seeing him in roles that are very similar to Tony Soprano, but in here, he really does give the opportunity to shine and show everybody that, hey, he's got a dramatic side to him, and it works very well. And it's one of those things where I think him and Louis-Dreyfus really should have gotten an Oscar nomination for this, but of course this thing was not a big hit overall. It came and went. And speaking of The Kids Are Alright, the director of this movie is Nicole. I give you bum information. That is not the director of this movie. I thought it was, but Nicole Holofcener, who we talked about a couple of her movies before. We talked about Friends with Money. She also did Can You Ever Forgive Me? And this is a movie where it really shows everything about it just comes together so well. This movie is pitch perfect. A romantic comedy as you can get. James Gandolfini and Julia Louis-Dreyfus are great. Ben Falcone is really good in here. So is Catherine Keener, Toni Collette. It works really well. Who would have guessed that one day we would have a movie where Elaine Bennis and Tony Soprano would be a great on-screen couple in here? It just works very well. It's a well-put-together film. Definitely one of the more underrated movies that came out this year. I can't recommend it enough. Enough said. Seek this one out if you haven't seen it, because it's really, really good. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last film that we have here, and that's Chris Hemsworth and Ron Howard's latest film, Rush.
Nothing more powerful than the fear of death itself
This is an incredible battle. Nicky Lauder and James Hunt.
is the will to win.
Nicky Lauder, trapped in inferno of 800 degrees.
That you were responsible for what happened.
You were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
The closer you are to death, the more alive you feel. As if each day is your last. Rush.
Set against the sexy, glamorous golden age of Formula One racing in the 1970s, the film is based on the true story of a great sporting rivalry between handsome English playboy James Hunt, played by Chris Hemsworth, and his methodical, brilliant opponent, Austrian driver Niki Lauda, played by Daniel Bruhl. The story follows the distinctive different personal styles on and off the track, their loves, and the astonishing 1976 season, which both drivers were willing to risk everything to become world champions in the sport with no margin for error. If you make a mistake, you die. And you see it there a little bit in that trailer. And I gotta say, man, Ron Howard, welcome back, man, because good Lord, there was a run between, between 2008 and 2013. Well, technically it was just 2 movies, but they were really, really bad movies. Angels and Demons, and then especially The Dilemma. Good Lord, man, what happened to you, man? But hey, he came back on track with this movie here and delivered one of his strongest films overall. I mean, not only getting a great look to the film, a great visual style, tense action-packed sequences all across the board, well-crafted, making the audience really want to get into this, even though I have never been interested in Formula One racing at all, but this movie made me want to get into it. The cast overall is great in here. I mentioned Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Bruhl, but Olivia Wilde, I thought, gave one of her strongest performances overall in this movie. Just great performances all across the board in here. Natalie Dormer's really good in here. She's in a great little supporting role. This movie kind of came and went, even though it was a massive hit critically. It didn't do so well at the box office and really got overshadowed at the Oscars overall. People forgot this movie was even a thing by the time the Oscars came around, which is a shame because it's really a really damn good movie in general. And like I said, it's a slick, stylized, well-made racing film that does the job it's supposed to and does it really well. Keeps you invested in something that you will probably not be invested in at all with Formula One racing, but it just works, man. I mean, I couldn't get into F1 that came out earlier in the year. I thought it was just kind of boring. But if that movie was more like this film, I probably would have given it more praise than most people did. But, I mean, I didn't like that one at all. But I did like Rush a lot. I think it's definitely worth it. Seek this one out if you haven't seen it already. Rush is definitely worth it. I highly recommend it. One of Ron Howard's best films. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we'll wrap September up with 3 movies, including the sequel to Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, Paula Patton starring in one of those comedies in the same vein as Jumping the Broom, Baggage Claim, and easily one of the best movies of the year. And again, another underrated gem of a film that came out around this time. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Don John, with him starring and directing it and writing it as well, along with Tony Danza, Scarlett Johansson, Julianne Moore. A phenomenal movie, a great week of films overall. We'll take a look at that week coming up tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. And also, don't forget to check out the new Time About the Christmas 3 that just came out today. Christmas reviews from the last 6 years I've covered in the last year, 2007, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. I touch on all those in about an hour and a half video, so check that out if you can, but that's available online right now. But I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of this show here. But until then, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.